I don't want to jump the gun. So, but to put a bow on it, again, I think LeBron James, he lost. I don't believe his legacy takes a hit. But when we're talking about GOAT status, which was a lot of the conversation was surrounded with LeBron James in the past year. Is he the GOAT? Is he catching Michael Jordan? No, he's not catching Michael Jordan. And unfortunately with this loss, I don't think he'll have an opportunity to do so. But at the end of the day, who cares? LeBron James was a unique talent that the league has never seen before. LeBron James will be remembered as one of the top 2, 3, 4 players to ever play in the NBA. And at the end of the day,
who care? You care, because that's what we do. We rank them. We rank all-time teams. We rank all-time players. We rank the Hall of Famers. So you care, just like I care. We all care. We want to know who the GOAT is.
But I used to care a lot. I used to care a lot more, though. That's the thing I'm saying now is we have to appreciate people for who they are. How many times have we heard, well, you know, Kobe Bryant said, I can't be the next Michael Jordan. I can only be Kobe Bryant. LeBron has said, well, you know, I can't be Michael Jordan. I can only be LeBron. You will remember LeBron, and the comparisons will come in, and people will be comparing these younger players to LeBron. If people are doing that, you've won. Because the GOAT is a matter of opinion. There's some people out there that don't feel like Michael Jordan is the GOAT. They feel like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the GOAT. Some people feel like Wilt Chamberlain was the GOAT. Some people feel like Bill Russell was the GOAT. There will never be a consensus on who the GOAT is. So if you could put yourself in that conversation, I'm at the point now in my maturation to where you've made it. All you got to do is put yourself in that conversation.
I'm not gonna disagree with that. I'll give my take on it real quick because I want to make sure we get to our other topics. I think KD has cemented himself as in the pantheon of great NBA lore. I think not only his finals performance, his body of work already spoke for itself.
Yeah.
We all know to really get to that next level of solidification, you have to win a championship. And although there's great players that don't have one, Karl Malone comes to mind, Dominique Wilkins, John Stockton, these kind of players come to mind. But we know when we're start talking to the creme de la creme, and we're really separating the best of the best, championships come up. And Kevin Durant, not only did he solidify his spot with this ring, but I don't think it's his last one. He's always had a killer instinct. He's always had a temperament and a demeanor. And now being able to play with other great players that really elevate his talent and highlight his talent, being able to spend some time on the defensive end, not having to carry the entire offensive load, being able to really showcase his skills one-on-one instead of facing double, triple teams all of the time. You really got to see that he's an unguardable player and a top-rate talent for those that didn't get to see him play in a small market, either with Seattle and or with OKC. Being able to play in a huge market on the biggest stage and put on his biggest performance, you really have to admire that as a sports fan. For LeBron James, I do not think it diminished his legacy. I think what we're seeing and what we're really going to have to evolve as sports fans is what do we really consider the greatest of all time? When we talk about Michael Jordan being the GOAT, who did he pass to get that? And when did that happen? Answer me that. Like, did he score more points than Kareem? No. Did he have more championships than Kareem? No. Nah. More steals, more any of these things? Been there more? Won at a higher level? At the collegiate level or the pro level? No. Is it because he's undefeated in championships? That may never be done again. I don't think that means that there can't be a greater player. There's always a greater player. And there's going to have to be a new definition of what do we consider the greatest player. I don't think it's going to have to be somebody who went undefeated in the finals to supplant Michael Jordan. It's going to be a collective body of work, skill for skill, talent for talent, and playing at the highest level. What were your performances like? Win, lose, or draw? I don't think people take away from Jerry West, even though he was 1-9 in the finals. he still bears the logo for the NBA and is considered Mr. Clutch.
Which should be changed. We know that.
Let me tell you
the Jordan logo.
Let me tell you why Jordan is the GOAT. I'm going to answer the question for you why we all know that he's the GOAT. In Jordan's prime, he was the absolute best offensive weapon in the league. He was absolutely the best defensive weapon in the league. He was absolutely the best winner in the league in his prime. There was no question he was the best offensive player in the league. He was the best defensive player in the league. He was the best winner in the league. And take this here. In his last championship in '98.
Yeah, I'm watching 30 for 30 the other day. And I'm watching Kareem at 38 years old be the linchpin for the Lakers. Be the best player on the floor.
Was he the best?
38.
Here's the question with Kareem.
What was Jordan doing at 38?
Here's the best.
Icing his knee?
Here's the question with Kareem. In his prime, was he the absolute best defensive player in the league?
No.
Well, he was
never.
All I know is he was first team all defense 11 times.
So when I'm looking at Jordan, when I'm looking at Jordan, no matter what position it was, Jordan was the best defensive player, no matter what position it was. He was just the best in the league defensively.
Not year in, year out.
At the same time,
yes,
he was the best offensively. At the same time,
he was better than Gary Payton?
Yes, he was.
Absolutely.
During Gary Payton's prime, he was a better defender than Gary Payton.
Absolutely.
He was a better defender than Gary Payton.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He was bigger. He was stronger.
Gary Payton couldn't guard guys that were 6'8" and 6'9" in the post, and Michael Jordan could. He was a more versatile defender.
As far
as on the ball, you could say that Gary Payton was one of the greatest on the ball defenders as well.
Absolutely.
He was a great weak side defender as well, but Jordan was a more versatile defender just because he was bigger and he could guard more positions.
I loved Michael Jordan as a defender, but there was times watching the Bulls that I didn't even think he was the best defender on that team. I thought there was times that Scottie Pippen was the best defender on those Chicago Bulls teams. I can say that with confidence.
It's because he was guarding Scottie Pippen, the best player to allow Jordan to catch a break, because Jordan was the guy that was going to be carrying them. But let's not make it seem like... I'm just
saying, there was times that a lot of games that I watched that Pippen was making more plays on defense than Michael Jordan. And that's not taking anything away from Michael Jordan. I love Michael Jordan.
Some games. Jordan was always at the top of the league in steals.
He was an outstanding.
Jordan didn't abuse defense.
He was an absolutely outstanding defender. But for you guys to say he was the best defender in the league, and in 14 years of service had one defensive player of the year, I think you're devaluing some of these other great defenders in the league during the same time frame.
But first team all defense all 14 years. But we'll move on.
It wasn't all 14 years. We're gonna need to look that up.
We'll look it up. We'll look it up.
Okay, so next question. Next question to wrap up this NBA Finals recap. I'm gonna start off with Javon on this one. Are the Golden State Warriors, this year's iteration of Golden State Warriors, one of the best teams ever?
No question. The fact that you're even asking me this question, I think is a little hilarious. This is one of the best teams that we've ever seen.
I just want to make sure that we're not caught in the emotion. You know, we've seen teams steamroll. You know, there's some questions about the health of some of the teams that they faced en route to their great record in the postseason. I just want to make sure that we're acknowledging some of the things that happened en route to their victories, and are we making sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's? Because from the eye test, I agree with you. I just want to make sure that, is this one of the greatest teams all time?
This is one of the greatest teams of all time, period. We're thinking about when Kevin Durant got hurt, right? I believe this team ended up winning 67 games, right? Am I correct? Regular season? They won 67 games. Kevin Durant went down and missed, I believe, 20 games. They had a tough 5-6 game stretch, which was their most difficult stretch of the regular season. where they really struggled to adapt without Kevin Durant on the floor. And then they ended up finishing before Kevin Durant came back. I think they won like 10 in a row or something like that.
Right.
But if throughout that 20 games, if Kevin Durant isn't injured, there's a chance that they could get to 72, 73 victories once again. So that handles the regular season portion. I think they had the, if not the top record, they're tied for the best postseason record ever with only one postseason loss.
Yeah, so, tied with the Lakers, I think. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think it was at the 2000, 2001 Lakers.
Yeah, when they steamrolled the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think the regular season statistics are there. The postseason statistics are definitely there. And as you mentioned earlier, the brand of basketball that they play a beautiful brand of basketball. They really embrace this new NBA philosophy of positionless basketball. And that's not just NBA. That's starting to filter down to the college ranks as well as high school, something that the Europeans have embraced for years, actually. So this idea of positionless basketball is something that the Golden State Warriors do well. You take a look at their starters; they're as solid as any team that's been assembled, save that of the center position with everyone's favorite Zaza Pachulia. But their bench, absolutely solid, and there's no question you have to include them in your top 10 teams of all time, top 5 maybe. I have them as one of the 5 greatest teams. But again, we're talking about subjectivity here. If somebody tells me that you pick if it's a battle for the number 5 spot of all time teams and someone picks the 89 bad boy Pistons over the Golden State Warriors, you're not going to get too much of a fuss from me because it's subjective. But
we've had this conversation offline. What if those teams played? We've had this conversation offline.
We have. So wanted to give a shout out to my man Phil Graham who posed the question, and it was a great question. Question. I think the answer that we decided on was depending on what era and what set of rules were being implemented or were being used. If it's today's game, I'm picking the Golden State Warriors. If we're playing those rules back in 88, 89, where you could basically clothesline people, sucker punch
Kevin Durant is not getting 6 dunks in the first game with those 88, 89 Pistons. Somebody's going to taste blood, okay?
He wouldn't. But to answer your question, quite frankly, Sean, I do think this is one of the best teams of all time.
Okay.
I have them at number 5. Number 5 all time.
Kev, I need to know, man. I know, Dub Nation is happy. They got the championship, and that's all that mattered. But in the legacy and in the historic context of NBA champions and teams in the NBA, is this Golden State Warriors team one of the best that we've ever seen?
No, but let's be honest. No, they're not. They're not one of the best we've ever seen. They're definitely top 10. They would be right out. They would be right outside.
Kev, if you're in the top 10 of anything all time,
hey, I was about to say, can you say they're not one of the best? And you put them in that's what a lot of teams, man. They're in the top 10, man. Out of all the teams that ever played, they're in the top 10, but they're not one of the best that ever did it.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you're going to get off the bench, man. These guys will pull your card in a minute. But yeah, I got them right outside, top 5. But the more I think about it, I put them lower and lower on the list. Look, for this era of basketball, they're absolutely the best. They figured out how to play this style of basketball. I know a lot of people say, well, if you're playing with the old rules or if you're playing with the new rules. Well, if we're playing with the new rules, this Warrior team still doesn't beat the Showtime Lakers. They had 8 players in double figures back in 86, 87. This team still doesn't beat Shaq and Kobe Lakers because instead of 30 a game, Shaq and Kobe would be averaging 45 apiece if we're playing in today's rules. They still don't beat the Jordan's Bulls.
Kobe Bryant would tear Klay Thompson's ass up.
He would be at 45 a game. And then the Bulls, Jordan would be averaging around 50 a game if we're playing in today's rules because you couldn't touch him. And then with as far as the only team that in today's rules would be effective would be those Piston teams, because they were just so physical. Even though Isaiah would average around 35 a game himself in today's rules. But, you know, the Warriors, the more I think about it, I'll have them around 6 or 7 as far as the greatest teams of all time. They need to win another championship. I need to see another ring. I need to see at least a repeat. Can I at least get a repeat before I put them up there with those teams we just named? Those teams were teams that repeated. A couple of them.
We're talking about standalone season.
A standalone
season. Is this
season.
one of the greatest teams?
Standalone. This was one of the greatest seasons we've seen. Standalone.
Oh
absolutely.
my God, it's a miracle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a miracle.
67 wins. 67 wins. 15-1 in the playoffs. Even though the playoff teams have a lot to be desired for. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
One of the best
with
teams.
You fellas. I definitely think the Golden State Warriors, the 2016-2017 iteration, is one of the greatest teams all time. I haven't seen that level of shooting ever. That's with Klay Thompson being off at certain times. That's with Steph Curry not being, I'd say, his at his best that I've seen him. I'll tell you what.
You guys make it seem. You guys.
I've seen a lot of basketball in my years, and there's very few teams that you had to be nearly perfect to beat. There's teams that you could catch and neutralize a player. If you say, hey, Klay Thompson is going to shoot 3 of 16, and we're going to win by 25, come on, man. Come on, man. I'll tell you what. The only thing there's only a couple of problems that I have with the Golden State Warriors that have nothing to do with basketball. It's Kevin Durant's hair and Klay Thompson's hair. Klay Thompson has one of the worst fades and edge ups I've ever seen in my entire life. He gets hung on the rim in China trying to do a 360 dunk. Stay behind the 3-point line. You're great at what you do. Stay doing what you do and stay away from whatever barber or whatever they call themselves that had themselves anywhere near your hair. Your shoes are horrible. Your hair is horrible. Your dunking's horrible. Stay shooting the ball, Klay. Okay? They're one of the best that I've ever seen. You're just not going to find a brush and a great barber around their facility is all I'm saying. So, look, guys, we're about an hour in already. We need to get through some topics.
Yeah.
We have an NBA draft that's probably one of the best that we've seen in a while. It's loaded with talent in the point guard position. We had some trades. We had Dwight Howard changing teams. Who cares? He's a bum. Surprise, he's unhappy. Oh, give me the ball, and when you give me the ball, I'll shoot it 5 times in a closeout game. You're a bum, Dwight Howard, okay? No one cares who you went to. Go to the D-League, okay?
Dwight Howard?
Yeah.
Dwight Howard?
Yes. Slight Howard, okay? You're a bum. And we had Jimmy Butler in a blockbuster trade, getting in exchange for Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and a draft pick. So I'm going to ask, guys, I know you guys are huge college fans. I'm still catching up in that sense, but I love the draft. I love what it means for these teams in their future. I need to know, I'm starting off with Javon, who are the biggest winners and who are the biggest losers in this year's NBA draft?
Hey, Javon.
Yes.
For the sake of time, let's just do the winners. We'll just do the winners.
Okay, listen. The biggest winners, and I almost feel funny saying this. The biggest winner I thought in this year's draft were our Sacramento Kings.
Say it again.
Sacramento Kings. Vlade Divac. God bless you, Vlade Divac. You came under heavy criticism after you got fleeced for that deal, sending Boogie Cousins to New Orleans in exchange for Troutmouth, Buddy Hield, in this year's draft pick.
Man. That ain't right, man. Oh,
and you started this year's draft out on the right foot by taking De'Aaron Fox, who clearly is going to be one of the better players to come from this draft. He has the requisite athleticism and skills to match up with the quicker point guards, the faster point guards, the Russell Westbrooks, the John Walls in today's NBA. But I thought he was blowing it again when he traded away the number 10 pick. He selected Zach Collins from Gonzaga, and then he traded the pick to Portland for 15 and for 20. And then what does he do? He redeems himself at number 15 by picking Justin Jackson out of Cavs, North Carolina Tar Heels. Yeah. This is a guy that may not have the same athletic upside as some of these other younger players, but he is a ready-to-go scorer coming into the league. He can shoot, he can get to the basket, and he's a dog. I like his mentality. He is a guy that's going to be mature. He fits perfectly. Rudy Gay opted out of his contract. He'll fit nicely as a young piece there. And then number 20, a pick that was risky, but a pick that anybody who knows anything about high school basketball, they know that Harry Giles out of Duke University was the number 1 high school basketball player just a couple years ago. And he tore, his ACL. He has 2 torn ACLs, one in the left knee, one in the right knee. But the skill level on this guy is absolutely through the roof. Some people felt like he would have been the number 1 pick had he been healthy. So, Vlade Divac, I tip my cap to you, sir. Well done. Indeed, you were known as one of the biggest floppers that's ever played NBA basketball. But you came through. You came through here. You got character guys. And not to mention, you got Frank Mason, the national college basketball player of the year out of Kansas. You got him in the 2nd round. All of these guys have high character. They look like they're ready to come into the Sacramento market and make a difference. So I got to salute Vlade. I felt like the Kings were the biggest winner.
Javon,
and then,
Javon, our buddy would have said it.
So Vlade effectively may have decreased his stress level. He may be down to 12 packs a day.
Now wait a minute. I want to add a couple other winners here as well, okay. and I'll just give brief commentary. The LA Lakers, they were winners. Magic Johnson and the LA Lakers, they got Lonzo Ball, a guy that's instantly going to come in and make everybody better there. He's made for LA. He was born in Chino Hills. He's ready for LA. Markelle Fultz with the 76ers, I think that they were winners there because he fits in perfectly to what they're trying to do.
Ben Simmons, Embiid, and Fultz.
And Fultz.
We got three guys around 20 years old that can ball. We got a scorer, a passer, and a post presence.
Man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, future's looking bright in Philly, guys.
Yes, it is.
It's looking bright. If Joel Embiid can stay healthy.
Yes.
The Boston Celtics, I felt like they had a great job. They brought in Jason Tatum, a guy that's ready to score right now. He instantly will become the team's 2nd best scorer behind Isaiah Thomas for a team that was the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, of course, they got obliterated by the Cleveland Cavaliers, but they have a piece now in concert with Jaylen Brown, who was a rookie this year. They have a couple different wing pieces, guys that are versatile, that will help them have another successful year. And then finally,
yes. Javon, now Kevin and Javon, did they really want Josh Jackson, but he didn't want to work out with them? Did Danny Ainge fly across the country and have to go back on the plane at 4 a.m. because he promised to work out and didn't give? Was this really about pride? Did they really want Josh Jackson, but they took a guy who was willing to work out with them? Is that what happened here?
Absolutely, they wanted Josh Jackson. No question. That's why he got up so early to fly out to Sacramento. He had to make that trip. There wasn't going to be an opportunity for Josh Jackson to get over to Boston. So Danny Ainge was like, let me hop on a flight. And let me fly out to this terrible city, Sacramento, and watch Josh Jackson work out for them. So yeah, they wanted him.
So this is a great move despite that.
That's right.
Hell of a consolation prize.
Okay.
You're talking about. Listen, Josh Jackson is a little more versatile in terms of being a better defender. But Jason Tatum is a big-time scorer. He's got NBA moves ready. Right. He's got a great step-back shot. He operates well around the rim. Right. He attacks the basket. He's got a nice touch. This is probably, in the short term, a better pick for the Celtics.
And a power forward, it gives him some versatility, maybe playing small, having Horford at the center, having Tatum at the 4, maybe putting Jaylen Brown out there at the 3, and really having some versatile athletic players out there with Smart and Isaiah Thomas. Okay, Kevin, I need to know who you think were the biggest winners. I saw you elated with our Sacramento Kings, for the hometown. How do you feel, and who do you feel were the winners in this NBA draft?
The way that I looked at it is any team that was able to form their big 3, they won this weekend. Because now you have to have a big 3. You've got to have 3 all-star players to be able to compete in the playoffs. So if your team was able to add a bona fide big 3, you won. That means the Minnesota Timberwolves won. They got the trade, bring in Jimmy Butler. Now you got a solid big 3. Andrew Wiggins to go with Karl Anthony Towns. We're still going to decide who's going to run the point for them with Tom Tibbs. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you have a legitimate big 3. It's a big 3, in my opinion, the Philadelphia, that's going to compete for that 8 spot. Ben Simmons is a guy that probably would have went number 1 this year. Markelle Fultz, and then you got Joel Embiid. So they have themselves a big 3.
Hey Kev, I'm going to go a step further, and this is my aggressive, outlandish statement of the day. I got Philly at 6 or 7 in the East.
Ooh, that's nice.
They won about 11 straight when Embiid was there last year without Ben Simmons.
That's right. That's right.
But let's
that's
carry on.
Right. So you have Philadelphia. Obviously, Javon covered the Sacramento Kings. They have now their big 3. You're going to have De'Aaron Fox at the point guard position. You're going to have Skal BCA and then Buddy Hield, I think. Or even, remember, Bogdanovic from overseas.
That's right.
They're still deciding if he's going to come over. He was the European MVP in the Euro Leagues. His team won the championship. A 6'7" shooting guard / small forward who shoots the lights out. They compare his jump shot to a Klay Thompson. So you have that you're coming over with a Buddy Hield, with a De'Aaron Fox, Skal BCA, and then obviously the wild card is Harry Giles. This guy, I follow high school recruiting, especially in the North Carolina area. He's a guy that was the number 1 player his freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year when he didn't even compete. He's an absolute man-child. So I think those are the teams there. And again, if I missed a team that has solidified their big 3. Look at Phoenix, drafting Josh Jackson to go along with Devin Booker, to go along with Eric Bledsoe. They have a big 3.
They'll make the playoffs this year, by the way.
They're going to make the playoffs there. You look at the Los Angeles Lakers. Lonzo Ball, their Brandon Ingram. We're still trying to decide who that big 3 is going to be, but Paul George, LeBron James are in play in 2018, so they helped themselves. This is one of the last drafts that I can remember where almost all 29 teams really helped themselves. I think probably the Bulls were the only team that really wet the bed this weekend, along with the Brooklyn Nets. But other than that, teams got better. Portland got better. Zach Collins now. So you're going to incorporate him with Damian Lillard and then the shooting guard. His name is escaping me right now. CJ McCollum. Now you got Zach Collins to go along with Jerkic. So now they're forming that big 3, big 4. So they're going to be difficult to deal with. So if your favorite team was able to solidify their big 3, their big 4, you won this weekend. So it was a very, very good NBA draft.
I'm gonna I'll real quick speak on who I felt was the winner, loser in the draft. I have to go Timberwolves, and this is why. A lot of these teams that picked up some great players, they're still a couple of years off. I mean, you're obviously you see a lot of hope and a lot of upside in a lot of these players for teams like Kings, teams like Philadelphia. We all know that there's a lot of things in play that have to happen for those players' development, their willingness to be in the gym, work on their craft, play together, cohesion, putting ego on the back burner, playing with other good players. One thing that I really love about what the Timberwolves did is it made sense in a lot of ways. You reunite Jimmy Butler with his coach, his former coach, who has a defensive mindset and now has the defensive versatility between Karl Anthony Towns, Wiggins, Rubio is a good defender, on-ball defender, and you have Jimmy Butler on the perimeter to really a lot of the things that they wanted to implement in Chicago defensively that they didn't have the personnel to, or they faced injuries with Rose, with Noah. Now he has those players at center, dynamic playmaking point guard that they can immediately be better. They are immediately going to be a playoff team.
Right.
And not only that, Jimmy Butler wants to win. He does not really care about being the star player, whose team it is, things of that nature. And so I think you're really going to see Jimmy Butler still being relatively young and a 3-time consecutive All-Star. Karl Anthony Towns, a star in the making, and DeMar Wiggins having yet to reach his ceiling, but will be there in the next 2 to 3 years playing with other really good players. He's already an outstanding defender. He's becoming a better, more consistent shooter. He's developed a three-point shot, as has Jimmy Butler. And I think you're going to really need to watch out for the Timberwolves. I think the Chicago Bulls, as you said, Kevin, not only did they wet the bed, not only did they soil the bed, they've soiled it for the last, I'd say, 10 to 15 years.
Man.
I haven't seen a team more consistently squander great players, from Ben Gordon to Ben Wallace to there have been a number of great players that have come through that franchise who have it's only been a revolving door. You can thank Reinsdorf, you can thank Paxson, you can thank the pride and the ego of some of these players, the GMs that put themselves above the best interests of the fans or the franchise, and just because you couldn't get along with Tom Thibodeau doesn't mean that you get rid of Tom Thibodeau. Maybe you need to get rid of your own ego. Maybe you need to put yourself on the back burner. You know how many people cry when the GM leaves? Nobody. That's how many. We don't care if the GM gets his feathers ruffled. You're making 6-digit, 7-digit figures. You're making moves behind the scenes. No one cares about you. Tibbs gave them an identity that they could stand on, that resonated with the players, and all you've done now is give that to the Minnesota Timberwolves and an upstart franchise with the support of the front office, and they're going to be good for years to come. Chicago, shame on you. You should be on the bench, but we got somewhere else for you.
You know what, Sean? We're going to have to put them on the bench. Our software, we only got about 2 minutes left.
They're on the bench then.
Okay, before we shut down, man. Any parting thoughts, guys?
McGregor Mayweather coming up. We'll talk about it at another time. It's something that the fans wanted. I'm gonna need to know from you guys in the next show. You know, is this good for boxing? A lot of boxing purists are upset. A lot of people are frustrated. But you know, my parting shots. Great NBA draft. Full of depth. I think we're going to look back and say this is one of the best NBA drafts we've had in a long time.
I think so.
We're going to look back and say this is one of the greatest NBA seasons of all time, with one of the greatest teams of all time, with the greatest players playing great at the biggest time. I'm proud to be a fan of the NBA, not only of this year, but in the future going forward.
Hey, sounds good, man. That's well said. For me, go Kings! Sacramento Kings!
We are excited. We're excited here in Sacramento, and we deserve it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
It's been, it's been almost 12, 13 years of ineptitude, and now to see the team get to the point where now we have a chance to get some young talent. And guys, and that's no disrespect to Boogie Cousins. Boogie Cousins, if you ever see this, I loved you, man. I loved you. I loved your passion. There were some maturity issues that you were working through, but we all have issues that we need to work through, man. So we appreciated what you did for Sacramento. You love the community. You did a lot of great work out here, and that'll never be forgotten, brother. But, now we get a chance to move on. So exciting times for Sacramento Kings, man.
Yes, sir. And finally, to the victors goes the spoils. Dub Nation, congratulations. You guys are champions again. Off the bench, we're signing off. Hey. Yes, I do. We signing off the bench.
This is a stark contrast. This is a stark contrast from some of the things that I've heard. This level of gratitude has never been seen until the camera was rolling today. Let this go for the record. Okay? This guy wants to throw dirt on you guys, but he's being a bigger man.